What's up, Mortgage Coach community? Dave Savage from Trust Engine. This is actually my first interview where I have said that. For those that are confused by it, Mortgage Coach is alive and well. It's a part of Trust Engine, as well as Sales Boomerang is a part of Trust Engine. And then, of course, Trust Engine, we're building what we call a borrower intelligence platform. And we'll do more on that later. But today I've got Chad Barris from New Jersey, and he's using both Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang, and he is what I'd call a data-driven mortgage advisor. He's making the transition from loan officer to advisor, powered by Mortgage Coach. So Chad, this is our first interview. Welcome to the community, brother.
Thank you, brother. I'm so excited. I've really been looking forward to this for a couple of weeks now, and really grateful to be part of the community with all the top LOs in the country, and especially everything that you've accomplished. So thank you.
Yeah, well, I think I was on a call with your company doing some training and helping share some ideas, and you said some great things. So I'm looking forward to learning more about your business. So for anyone who's listening, just tell us a little bit, like, where exactly are you? Where do you get most of your business? What tech stack are you using? Tell us a little bit about what you're doing in your mortgage practice.
So I've been in the business, oh my goodness, like 19 years. 99% of my business is all realtor referral based, past client driven, friends in the close sphere. So I've never been a lead gen originator. So everything is just based on relationship. So what really drew me to, the dynamics of the Mortgage Coach was, transitioning from the salesperson to the analytical, let the numbers work themselves, so to speak. So by being able to show not only my referral partners, but also the audience and my clients, the numbers, I forgot who said, I think Jeremy said it, the math is transparent. It's easy. You could kind of take the salesmanship out and let the numbers speak for themselves, which is something I was really drawn to.
No, you haven't always been a mortgage coach. You're pretty recently to say, hey, I'm going to start using this mortgage coach thing. What was your why? Is there something about the market that what was your mortgage coach why?
So it was funny, as I'm studying for all my 5 licenses statewide, on one screen, I had Mortgage Coach on the other. And to be honest, in the beginning, trying to learn the system, I was kind of frustrated because I didn't have the enterprise level and I'm building out all the templates myself. So I said, you know what, I'm invested in it. I'm paying for it. I got to learn it. So I spent probably dozens of hours learning the nuances and how to build these cost analysis and comparisons, and just really dove into it because I know the market's changing, right? And instead of writing these long-winded emails that take an hour based on, this payment, based on this price, Mortgage Coach does it all. So let me learn the system so I can free up my time later.
Now you're also pretty serious about turning your database into a data bank, and it's monitored by Sales Boomerang. Why is that important to you, and how are you leveraging that in the marketplace? And then we'll get into specific realtor strategies and how you're getting in the door with agents.
So I think it's super important when a client has an idea that you're able to demonstrate, here's option A, B, and C. And again, letting the numbers speak for themselves. And again, one of the biggest things is not so much, the interest rates, but it's the value proposition. The system does it all for you. So I find a tremendous value. And it's also a relationship thing with the little video behind it, and you're saying hi to people that don't know who you are. So it's tremendous.
Yeah. And what about, what alerts are you getting through Sales Boomerang and calling on? What are some of the alerts you're getting?
Well, the alerts are the equity positions that people have, and maybe they want to take cash out. Maybe they want to pay down some debt. As we all know in the industry, that the market's super volatile. So it may or may not be the right time depending on the rates. But at a minimum, it's a reason to call them and just check in, say hello, and kind of update their file. And ask them at the same time, hey, by the way, do you know anybody else that I could help and serve like I did you?
Right on. Well, so first of all, anyone watching this, whether you're watching this live in our Facebook group, if you have questions, let us know. Let's transition to the headline. The headline around this meeting was, getting in the door with new realtors. And when you and I were prepping a little bit before we pushed it live, I was asking you, how's Mortgage Coach helping you the most? And you were like, oh, it's helped me get in the door with new realtors. So walk us through that. Like how is it doing that, and how are you doing it?
So I kind of picked up on this on what other people are doing and kind of took it to a little bit of a different level, right? So on Facebook, and this is what drew me to it. On Facebook, I constantly see price improvements. I constantly see price reductions. So me, from the consumer standpoint, that's saying, let's see what the market does, because maybe this house is overpriced. Maybe there's something wrong with it, but maybe it just wasn't priced right to begin with, but it'll still appraise at the number it's listed at. So when I go into an agent conversation, why did you just do a price reduction? Why didn't we use that towards helping the buyer buy down their interest rate? And then all of a sudden the bells and the whistles are going off. What do you mean by that? Well, let me explain to you. I have solutions, and I have presentations that could show your audience, different ways of making the numbers look better to the end consumer. And you, as a listing agent, that you can present these facts on your first appointment. I'll give you an example of what that looks like, Dave. So somebody's going in at a $400,000 price point, and at their time of presentation before they take the listing, in the next 3 weeks, let's see what happens at 400,000. But if nothing happens, here's a strategy. We can give a $10,000 seller concession to help buy down the buyer's interest rate, right? And then this way we could sell the house faster and give more value to the buyer's agent and the end user, the buyer. So I've built out the total cost analysis based on one of my favorite to show the audience, which was actually a template in the open house segments of the system. So I find it tremendous, which I could demonstrate.
I love it. Well, let's have you do that in a minute. So first of all, I want to hear though a little bit of your scripting, and whether it's a script or it's just a kind of a structured conversation, before you deliver this Mortgage Coach strategy to an agent. How do you frame that? Like what are some of the talking points you have?
It's kind of a 2-point play here, because in some markets, depending on how rural they are, the properties may sit longer on the market, where these conversations are key. How do we keep the inventory moving quicker with solutions? In other pockets in the inner cities, it's not so much a value point of buying down the rate versus how high can you go and what does the payment look like, putting in a $20,000-$30,000 higher offer. So it depends on which market I go after. So I can't say it's really scripted. It just depends on who's in what markets and what direction I'm going with the TCA.
Okay, cool. Well, let's pull up a TCA. Let's walk through that, and then I've got a couple coaching thoughts for anyone who's watching this. And
Yep.
Let's go through it.
All right, awesome.
I'll tell you when I see your screen. All right, I see it.
All right. So I took a 4-column presentation here to show the difference of what a $500,000 price point would be, and using a middle of the road 6.5% interest rate, give or take. So here's what a payment looks like with taxes and insurance at $34.78, right? But if somebody said, you know what, the house has been sitting on the market, and you know what, let's see if the seller's going to take $10,000 less. Well, here's what I show the agent and the buyer. Well, with your strategy, it's only $50 a month difference. Look at the numbers right here. But I said, well, if the house appraises and we take the $10,000 and buy down the interest rate to 5 3/4, look at the impact, which is $193 difference. It's much more beneficial to take the price difference, or excuse me, take the interest rate reduction versus the price difference. So here's the cool part, where Let me just move myself a little bit out of here if I can. So somebody might,
Wait, how often are you putting a video on it?
what's that, Dave?
That video that you did, how often are you adding this video to?
I add the video on everyone. I don't care what I sound like, what I look like, as long as I'm on there and I'm waving and smiling.
All right, let's go.
All right, so
That's the best practice.
So as everybody knows who's watching this, a lot of the market is ego driven, right? So somebody feels good that they got a $10,000 price reduction, right? Versus paying full price. Well, here's on the bottom here, I show the impact of what the interest looks like. So in the second grid here, here's the difference of a price reduction of what the interest paid out on versus taking my analogy of taking the 10,000 and buying down the interest rate. In 15 years, the $10,000 difference in price versus almost $40,000 in interest. So there's still $30,000 ahead of the game by taking a lower interest rate versus a lower price point. And when I show them this, the lights go off. So going back to your question, like, how did I get involved with Mortgage Coach and what drew me to this? It's the numbers. All I have to do is present it and it says it itself. The other thing which I put together here is one of the other components that everybody's been struggling is the affordability factor, right? Like how much purchasing power did people lose along this last 12 to 18 months because of the interest? So when I show an agent, right, and I could go on forever with all these analogies and way I strategize. When I show an agent who's stuck at a particular price point and I say, you know what? We could increase their purchasing power if you're able to get them a seller concession where we could buy down the interest rate, it'll give them more purchasing power. Here's the example. If you take the $500,000 purchase price with a reduced interest rate of 5 3/4, it's equivalent to market at 6.5 at a 462 purchase price, using the same difference in payments and almost identical monthly. So now you've increased the client's purchasing power, which opens up a whole new arena of inventory to show these people by giving them a lower interest rate with a seller concession. Here's the comparison of what they would have been versus where they could be.
I love it.
You know, and this comparison could go the other direction, right? Because this is on the point where there is negotiation. Inventory has been sitting on the market for a little bit longer than it should have been. But we could also use this in a hot market to how high somebody's willing to go, 10,000, 20,000 based on their payment threshold. So it's a two-way component here.
I love it. And if you could stop sharing your screen.
Yep.
How long does it take you now that you've learned how to do these things? How long has it taken you to create a TCA?
Depending on how depth, I don't know, about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, you know, because you can maneuver the closing costs a little bit, but.
Are you using the copy feature, you know, where you could just create a brand new TCA with the copy feature?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, good. It's a good shortcut to where you could get that under 5 minutes. So guys, this was an interview right here that it was my first interview of 2023. And it was a loan officer in, where was he? He was in Nashville. And he had a 20-year relationship with a builder. You know, you can see it down here in the description.
I've used him, by the way, to get into one of my agents who specializes in new construction. This was huge.
Oh, so you watched this one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And guys, like personal relationship, like this, he liked this builder, the builder liked him. He never got business, but this year is not like every other year. And the builder was struggling. And so he created a TCA. You'll notice down here in the video, it was in front of one of the builder's houses that wasn't selling. You know, it was a subdivision that could use a little love. And he is now getting business from this realtor. So guys, one, watch this, but tell me if you agree with this, Chad, is like every realtor is recruitable right now, like more recruitable than ever. They're having it tough. They realize that 63% of all mortgages start with a 2 or 3. So they've got like knowing the numbers and the math is more valuable now than it was. Thoughts on that?
1000%. Now it's not, now everybody's more careful. It's not, let's just write up a contract, sounds good, and we'll see you at closing. Here's your payment, here's cash to close. People actually want to see it. Once they see it, they feel comfortable with it. And now it's more of an emotional pivot point to make the deal work versus, what sounds good. Again, we're talking on, 150 buyers to, let's say, 650. Above and beyond, it's not so much the affordability. Then it's just an ego play of just getting what they want. But I'm just talking, just the normal middle of the road. It is super, super important. So this goes not only for the agents, and I also feel, just to talk about this, is that I feel agents now need to be more educated than ever versus saying, it's not my job, talk to the mortgage person. They have to understand that there's other options out there, know how to introduce it, and then give the warm handoff. Just not play, I don't know, and want nothing to do with it. That's not acceptable these days.
Yeah, no, totally agree. So folks, if you have a question and you're watching this on our YouTube channel, put it down below. Please share this with 3 mortgage friends that you think would get value. The best way to represent and support the value we're doing, follow the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, subscribe to it. We also now have a leadership channel. The Trust Engine YouTube channel is brand new, just launched this week, where I'm going to focus on leadership, modern leadership for lenders. I know the people that follow us are lenders. And what is modern leadership? So make sure you follow that on Trust Engine, subscribe, just Trust Engine in YouTube, and the Mortgage Coach is pretty straightforward, Mortgage Coach in YouTube. So Chad, any closing thoughts you have? You've got a lot of, peers watching this, mortgage people from all over the country. Any closing thoughts? Yeah,
I would say, because if originators look at this from, and I learned a long time ago, this business is it's like a sport. It's like football. Somebody's always going to get hurt. Last year's winner, as far as an agent, could be this year's loser. So you always got to be recruiting new agents. This is probably one of the best tools that kind of takes the, what do I say? How do I get this into a meeting? This is the #1 thing that brings so much value in so many different ways. It's kind of enlightening, and it's enjoyable to be back into the business on a different educational level. So I could tell anybody, if you're not using this, you absolutely should. And just dive in, all in. This is and speaking for itself, as far as Housing Wire, Dave, you had a great article that says that you guys are revolutionizing the industry by educating. That's one of the biggest things. So it's huge. I'm loving it, and especially being part of the great community. Yeah, well, I appreciate you. Let me close out with just some key thoughts and some takeaways that this call reminded me of. I all year long I'll be educating on what I call the 6 megatrends of $100 million producers. But one of those is turning your database into a data bank. And we didn't cover that in detail on this, but this is something that Chad's very serious about doing. He's become a mortgage coach. So at the point of sale and during his mortgage reviews, he's doing that. He's got a database that's monitored with Sales Boomerang, and he calls on those leads. He's making sure that he's turning that into value. He knows the data. He's educating with value. I didn't interview you a lot on your numbers, but guys, data-driven mortgage advisors know their numbers. They know their conversion. They know how many realtors they're meeting with. And here are some things that I just want to make sure y'all are doing when it comes to turning your database into a data bank. First of all, making sure it's getting monitored for signals and insights. That's what we do here at Trust Engine. I don't know if you're doing this yet, Chad, but if you're not, you should. 30 days after you close, update the TCA for the borrower around their next real estate goal. So if their next real estate goal is to pay down the MI and move up into a bigger house, well, show them, hey, if you paid an extra $100 per month, look at how much faster you can build up your equity. Or if their next real estate goal is a second home or investment properties, or to move up or move down, whatever their next goal is, update the TCA
and then do a 6-month equity review where you're like, hey, it's been 6 months. My goal is to help you achieve whatever that next goal is. My goal is to help you, optimize your equity and your net worth. Do a 12-month, every 12 months, a mortgage review. Make sure you're delivering the right strategy at the right time. And by the way, make sure your realtors know. Like if when you are a data-driven mortgage advisor and you have sales Boomerang and MortgageCoach, like, don't be a secret. They wish that they had the data that you want, that you get as a sales Boomerang loan officer. Like, that is valuable. In fact, you could get realtors to give you their database and actually monitor that. So Chad, any other closing thoughts or anything we could do to, help you and your team?
No, it's been an absolute enlightenment to be part of the group. And I don't just say things I don't mean, but I've always believed if you want to be a millionaire, you have to learn from other people that have done it. And being part of the community, watching and listening to people I've been following through coaching platforms, or just knowing them through social media across the country. It's like, even though you're 3,000 miles away, you're this close. And it's not like everybody's threatened by anybody. We're all learning from each other because we're all in this business to help one another, and we're in this forever. So it's not only the total cost analysis, but it's also the community, which is tremendous.
Well, thank you, Chad. Thanks for being an active member and leader in that community. Really appreciate you. Anyone listening, if you got value, give it a like, whatever social media channel you're watching us in. And Chad, have an awesome day, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you.